Ladies and gentlemen, I have struck a nerve. Like YouTube staff, I got banned off of Twitter. Like the powers that be just do not want me or like the things that I say to like come to light because we got to get into the news, right? Just as I've been saying all along, right? So guess who isn't pissed? I mean, sorry, is pissed off but isn't letting the migrants come into their country. Spain. Yep. Spain. You know what's happening over there? They're coming over on the beaches. They're trying to post up. They're trying to like whatever, and then like people aren't having it anymore. And it all started with like this 67-year-old man who got beaten. I saw it. His eye was like all bloodied and discolored and stuff. He was like thoroughly beaten. Like, and I think like they didn't rob him or anything. It was just like to intimidate him or whatever, intimidate or something. Maybe he like looked at him or like said something to him, or maybe he didn't do anything at all. It was just like a scare tactic. And the locals are pissed, pissed. They're not having it. See, unlike in the UK, France, other countries, they just said, "Hey, you come to this country, we're just gonna arrest you on the spot, make a citizen's arrest." And this is the kind of manhood that has been lost on these other countries, France, UK, Germany. Well, Germany's changing slowly. Like the laws are slowly catching up to it. But like, if we're going to go classically, and then we got Sweden, we got all these countries that bend over backwards and then some for these motherfuckers, and it's like, for what good? For what purpose? Right? It's like I've been saying all along. They come into your country, you don't know who they are, they commit crimes, everybody's covering for them. The news, the media, all that stuff. And you want to know why? They're scared that there's going to be like a blowback, like an echo, not no, sorry, a repercussion to like all this like violence against the Caucasian, the white race, whatever you want to call it. And then like the revenge is going to be so severe that people are going to be like, why did you let this happen? But it's like, I'm pretty sure if you keep ignoring it, you're just going to make the problem worse. And here we are. I hear even tourists are getting in on it. Like they're like, oh, we could detain migrants who come into this country illegally. Okay, let's do it. So people who are like tourists and stuff, and rightfully so. I mean, we have to talk about one of the earliest video topics I had when I was unsure about like if I was gonna make this like exclusively a video game topic, YouTube channel, whatever. But I wanted to just talk about like general things that you know I feel interested in or I want to talk about. So in the case of this illegal migrant, refugee crisis, Islamic, whatever, right? Uh, you gotta go across the Atlantic Ocean in Quebec City, the province of Quebec. We gotta go across it into my home province of Ontario. That's right. Mudahar has been literally catching all that flack. He's up in the air trying to drop a atomic bomb like Saddam. He just got shot. Both of his wings. He's going down. In ways more than one. Oh, dude. Okay, so the video that I am referring to was Muslims be in the closet. Now let's, for a second here, stop being like, immature like I just was, a few seconds ago. And like, fully address the issue, the topic, what if isms. What if something like one out of four, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 1 out of 10 Muslims, be in that closet, like hard in that closet. I think the number is like generally higher, but like let's take the smallest estimate that we can get, right? So we know, especially now that it's come to light, like if we take like Muslims who live in North America, Europe, whatever, right? Like just pointing to the ones in North America, I know of like two. So including Mutahar. Well, there's also like the people that like who are homosexuals, but like I don't know them specifically or whatever. I never watched their YouTube channels or whatever. So like it's come to light that Mutahar is homosexual, and who's the other one? Crap. Well, I guess Hassan is in a way, but like if we're being like literal, like homosexuals, Myron Gaines from the Fresh and Fit, like the come on, the pictures are so blatantly obvious, and I bring him up as a very important example. See, Myron is one of those guys that is that representative of what I would think the response would be, the broad response of homosexuality in the Islamic world, where you have the symptom, very much so, illustrating that these men partake and feel and have like a very like it's a superiority complex that I've never addressed before as a flamboyant heterosexual man myself. Like the superiority of like having that, I don't know, necessity and requirement of men in society in order for it to function, and guys get off on that even though they know fully well that women make people and like they're the most important. Like they get off on the fact that, well, you don't build highways and bridges and this and that. It's like, yeah, but you're not getting born, dude. You're not getting born unless you got a woman. But like that's the kind of way of thought that these men have, and it carries over culturally. And we know this because of the activities that they participate in. There's this very famous video, a key example, of this prostitute being commissioned, and how she's like, I think it's for contractual reasons that she's making this video, but she's talking about how she wants to fly out to Dubai, meet this unknown wealthy person, have sex with that wealthy person, and she even specifies that she's, I think, not using a condom or using a condom. Like I don't really think it's important in the grander scheme of things, but I want to just point out that she is specifying that she's STD free, and that she is using or not using protection, whatever, right? Birth control, etc. Like, again, this is none of my business. Like these are the semantics of this deal that like if you look it up on the internet, right, you'll easily see it. Like you'll know exactly who I'm talking about, what I'm talking about. Like, and it's pretty old too. So I bring this example up because as she's saying, like, she's gonna do this, she's gonna do that, she also says, right, that she's going to have sex with, I think, the son of this individual. Now, Arabs be one of the few types of ethnicities out there, at least the few of them that can, to be able to afford, another prostitute, another female, another woman to sleep with separately. So why is it the need or the necessity for this woman to have sex with both individuals? Is it to build camaraderie? Is it to, like, I'm just foreign to this, right? And now, like, as I'm starting to see like the materialization of like Arab culture in like the subsets of like urban, black youth and black, hip hop culture, and like, having those like, very ubiquitous but open like sex parties and this and that, and like, P Diddy and his head bodyguard was like, some guy named Muhammad, right? And it's like it's becoming more and more clear what is the goings on in the Arab world, right? If we look at the recent developments brought to light in Dubai, the porta party, the like when you say it out loud to yourself, right? It sounds silly, but then like if you think about it psychologically speaking, uh, and here I go into the whole. This is why this is a 15-minute video, ladies and gentlemen, right? Because I think this is one of those subject matters that like is very concise. So when you're dealing with like sex involving the rectum, I would imagine that the room, you know, excuse me, would smell of such. Now, I've been a casual enjoyer of pornography of all types myself, but oftentimes we fail to ask ourselves that very important, but also very crucial, intimate, and vital information like the scent, the smell, the reaction to it, the like where do you go from there type of stuff. Like, luckily, I've never had to deal with that kind of um, issue, but I can only imagine that eventually that brings complications. Arises from, you know, I suppose the inability to reconcile your previous actions. So, I suppose as a way of humiliating, people who are basically your sex slaves to carry out this act is a form of like a form of power that you would have against your purchased sex worker. So, and I bring this up because when the actual details of Mudahar and his deeds, right, came out, right? Like, obviously, you're gonna have the people, and I myself too. Yes, obviously, I'm a very immature person, whatever, right? When I heard it, like the first time I heard it, I'm like, wow, this is pretty extreme, LOL, right? But then I took a step back because I did make a video topic about this. So, from what I can amass from this, it is very, very, very prevalent in the Islamic world. There are flagrant, um, almost hypocritical type of behavior, and we see this like not only in the Islamic world, but also in the Sikh world. Like the unfortunate reality of it is it bleeds into the cultures that they extend to. Sikhism, as I said before, is very much related to Islam and carries out these, homoerotic is the word I'm looking for, acts, right? And I think it's genuine. I think it's how they feel, it's how they are, and their hatred of women and the mitigation of their rights, the gang assaults, sexual assaults, are a coping mechanism for this internalized trauma that they have. And right, like it's one of those things where you have to talk about it. They don't want to talk about it. They want to address it. And all these boats showing up with just guys in it. you know, we have to shed light on this issue because look, if this is the way they want to live, and this is like outside the lens of anybody else's involvement, I think laughing should be, off the table. Take care.